Hey everybody, good to be here. My name is Brent Moores. Time for ThinkScript studies on Thinkorswim. My name is Brent Moores. As I mentioned, I think I'm in here for Mike Fairborn, who's out today. He should be back next week, I think. But today I want to talk moving averages. Moving averages can be used for different things, and I want to talk about how to actually use a custom scan to search for stocks that are crossing above a moving average. And so the purpose of this class today is multi-purpose. One is I want to talk about and give you a functional scan for moving averages. Two, I want to talk about the mechanics of actually creating a scan so that its applicability will go beyond the just finding moving averages to whatever you want to do. So I want to empower you today. That's the goal here as we talk about ThinkScript studies and customizing scans. So we're going to do that next. I'm joined by Scott Thompson in the chat helping me out. So as you have questions, feel free to type those in the chat. Between Scott and myself, we'll do our best to get your questions answered. Also, you can follow us on X at Brent Moores CS, at Scott Thompson CS. And just remember that the information today is for general informational purposes only. It's not an individual recommendation or personalized investment advice. Schwab does not recommend the use of technical analysis as a sole means of investment research. The paper money software application is provided for educational purposes only. All investing involves risk, including risk of potential loss, and past performance of any security or strategy does not guarantee future results or success. And just remember, any examples that we look at today, any stocks that we look at today are not recommendations. They're just examples trying to help you guys out here today. So that's the goal here. So let's head on over to the Thinkorswim platform. What I have here is the S&P 500. You can see, it's probably not difficult to see that the stock itself or the index itself is sloping upward. We could call that an upward trend. Technically, when we talk about upward trends, we usually mean that it has a series of higher highs and higher lows. But I'll tell you, sometimes even that can be a little bit confusing when you look at that, because along the way, you may go, well, what's a low? What's a high? Is this a low here? And then is that an equal low? Is the trend broken? So what people do often they'll use moving averages to help them out. You can help them identify a trend. So an upward trend in that definition is if the moving average is sloping up and the stock or index is above it, we'd consider it an upward trend. Okay, fair enough. But then that kind of begs the question, which moving average? I have three moving averages on this graph here. I have a 10-day moving average in blue. I have a 30-day in this, I don't know what color that is, kind of a pinkish color. And in yellow, I have a 50-day moving average, and we could do others. So I would say in general, shorter-term traders use shorter-term moving averages, and longer-term traders use longer-term moving averages. But the moving averages themselves can be a signal. When a stock or index crosses above a moving average, for some traders, that is a signal to buy. And that's not a recommendation. It's just how some traders use that as a bullish signal when we cross above a moving average, like there. Okay. And sometimes people will use moving average crossovers when one moving average crosses above another. That for some will maybe a bullish signal on that. And so you can look at different stocks and look for it that way. And you can scan for these different conditions, a variety of different conditions here. And that's what I want to go through today, is scanning for these. In this case, my plan is to show you is, let's do a scan for a stock that is crossing above a shorter term moving average, a more of an intermediate term moving average, and something that's, well, we'll say a little bit longer term, not super long term, a 50-day. You could go longer. But let's look for stocks that are crossing above all three of these moving averages as potential, and that's all it is a potential entry signal there for you. And we may throw some other things in our scan as well. So hopefully that'll be beneficial to you. And the process of going through that hopefully will be beneficial as well so that you can feel empowered to customize your own scan. Okay, so I have a 10, a 30, and a 50, Myron. But believe me, this is no means a recommendation. Very often in my webcasts, I use a 20-day and a 50-day moving average. I know a lot of traders will use a 10-day for something very short, but I'm using 10, 30, and 50. But when I go through the process today, everyone, realize I grant you full freedom to feel free to modify that to your moving average that you want there. Okay, I'm hoping that's helping out here. Okay, so let's do it. Now, how do we do this? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to go to scan. Okay, and this is just a default scan, and you can clear out any scan that you want here. And we're going to have to customize the scan a little bit because you can't just say stock is crossing above the moving average here on this. So let's do this. I'm going to, for those of you who aren't aware, the scan tab, I'm on Stock Hacker. This allows us to look for different stocks meeting different conditions. And it comes up, the default is kind of this. Now, if you've run a more recent scan, it's going to come up with your most recent scan on there. But to reset it, you can always go to these little 3-line menus up here, click on it and click on reset, and it's going to bring it back to essentially what you see right here. And I don't want all these on here. I'm going to actually get rid of these filters on here. And I got to scroll over a little bit because I have my screen a little bit bigger just so that you guys can see it a little bit. But the way a standard screener works is you can go up here and you can decide the list of stocks that you want to look at. Let's say I want to look at NASDAQ 100. I can click on NASDAQ 100, and then I can add a filter, and I can say I want to add a stock that the ask price on that stock is at least $10 a share or whatever, or $100 a share and no more than $150 a share, and then I can click on scan. Okay, so that's just a basic scan. That's pretty straightforward here, but we're going to talk about customizing your own scans here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of this filter, and the filters I'm going to talk about today, and let me just reset this to all stocks, okay? The filters I'm going to talk about today where I click on add filter are study filters. Now, a little caveat for you. If you are on paper money, a lot of these study filters aren't going to work for you. Okay, you got to be on the live platform on this. So if you click on if you click on study, it'll give you some, I don't remember exactly what the error message says, but it's going to give you a warning. It says it doesn't work on paper money. Furthermore, we'll create a scan, and I'll share that scan with you today. But that scan won't work on paper money either. It's going to need to be in the live platform there. Okay, so you can clear your filters. You just reset right up here. Okay, reset actually gets rid of those. I don't think there's a clear all filters to my remove all filters. You're right, there is right there. Thank you, Andre. I should have remembered that instead of doing one at a time. Okay, so you can do it that way. So we're going to add our filter, and we're going to go to study filters, and it's just going to automatically come up with ADX crossover just because alphabetically that's the way it is. But because we're customizing this, it's going to give me a list here, and I'm going to go down to where it says custom. And when I click on custom, it's going to pop up this list here. And again, it's showing ADX crossover. I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to add a condition. Now, here's the thing. If you wanted to, and you wanted to script it, you could go to ThinkScript Editor and type in the code. I'm guessing 99% of the people here listening to me today don't really want to do that. That's why we have a condition wizard to help you. And ultimately, after you create it through this condition wizard, which kind of takes you step by step in building it, and I'm going to show that to you, then it will actually generate the code, and you could copy that code if you want for the future. Now, let's say you were using some AI or something, and you had AI come up and create a code for you. You could just paste it right in there if you wanted to, okay? But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do the condition wizard right there on that, okay? So I'm going to click on condition wizard, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for stocks that are breaking above their 10-day moving average, their 30-day moving average, and their 50-day moving average. And we may throw in a couple other conditions on there, but that's going to be the basis of what I want to show you today. In other words, we're going to call this short term, we're going to call this more intermediate term, and I don't know, normally I may call this a little bit more intermediate term too, but we're going to call this longer term at least, okay, moving averages. So there we go. So let me get out of this and let me show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to add a condition, and it's going to say select a condition. Well, what's the condition we want? We want the stock to break above, we'll start with the 10-day moving average. How do I do that? Well, I got to collect the stock price, okay? So let me click on here. I'm going to click select a condition. And the first thing I want to do is I want to say, just kind of think of it in plain English or whatever your native language is in your head as to how you would say it. Well, I want the stock to go above the moving average, okay? So stock, well, I want the stock price. So I'm going to click on price. And I'm going to use the closing price here, okay? So I'm going to click on close. I want the closing price of the stock to do what? I said go above, but we're going to have to look and see, well, I want it to cross above. It crosses above what? The moving average. Well, it doesn't say moving average here, but it says study here, and a moving average is a study. So I'm going to click on study, and I'm going to put in simple moving average, okay? So I'm going to click on simple moving average, and what's the length I want? I want a 10-day moving average. Well, the default here is a 9, so I'm going to change that 9 to a 10. And now one thing I can do, and we can switch this up, is I could say I want it to happen today, okay? But I could also say, hey, look, I'm going to expand that look back period out. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit, and I'm going to say within the last 3 bars. Now we're talking about days here. We're talking about days. So 3 bars represents 3 days worth of data here on this. So let me click on save on that. And then it says, here's the code. Close crosses above the simple moving average, length equals 10, SMA within 3 bars. Okay, if I clicked on ThinkScript Editor, that's what the code would look like. We're not using that though, we're using Condition Wizard. Now, if I wanted to, I could just click on OK and add that as a piece, add that as our scan. But we're going to add more conditions on there. And I can do that by just simply clicking on Add Condition. Okay, so add condition. I'll go a little faster on this one because it's going to be a very similar one. Instead of 10-day, we're going to make it 30-day. The condition wasn't a value, study, price. It was a study or function. It was a price. So I'm going to click on price. I'm going to use closing price. Now you could use the high price or something, but I don't want something that was just showing the high price of the day crossing above it. I want the closing price in this case. So closing price crosses above what? My moving average. Now, my moving average is a study, so I'm going to click on study. I'm going to use a simple moving average, which kind of begs the question, I think, what about other moving averages? What about a whole moving average or an exponential moving average? Yeah, you bet you could do that. Just go up here, and instead of clicking on simple moving average under study, click on exponential moving average or moving average exponential, okay? Whatever you want there, you can do that. So, but in this case, we're doing simple moving average. So I'm going to click on simple moving average. Length, in this case, it was going to be a 30-period moving average. Again, we were going to go back for a 3-day look back here. And I'm going to go here. Now, if I do this and I come up with 100 results or something, then I may say that's too many results. I don't want to go through that many stocks. Maybe I'll change that look back period from 3 days to 1 day or something like that. Okay, so let's click on save though. Oh, I have 2 conditions in there now. Let's add another one. I'm going to add another condition. I'm going to go much quicker on this one. I'm going to go to price, closing price, crosses above my study, which is going to be my simple moving average. And this one is going to be a 50 period moving average. And then I want to look at the results here. We're going to go back 3 days, just like the others. I can click on save, and there's my code right now. Let me click on that, and then I can scan this, and let's just see what we get. It's thinking, and I have 780 stocks, okay? Too many stocks. But a lot of these stocks are like penny stocks or something. You know what? I don't want that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change. I'm going to go up here instead of all stocks. Now, often in these scans, I use the S&P 500. Now, I can use that S&P 500 if I want. Let's just kind of look here and just see what we got. We've got 3 results in the S&P 500, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand that out a little bit, and I want to just mention another way of perhaps doing that. If I want to go a little bit beyond the S&P 500, what if we consider the Russell 1000? What's the Russell 1000, you say? We don't hear about Russell 1000 perhaps. We hear about the Russell 2000. Well, let me give you a little explanation here. There's an index called the Russell 3000, okay? What's the Russell 3000? Russell 3000 is basically the 3,000 biggest stocks out there by market cap. The Russell 1000 is the top market cap out of those Russell 3000 stocks. The Russell 2000, which probably many of you have heard of, is the Russell 3000 minus the top 1000, minus the Russell 1000. So essentially, these are the biggest, the Russell 1000. The Russell 1000, the market cap of the Russell 1000 is approximately 95% of that Russell 3000, by the way. Okay. And so the Russell 2000, which has 2,000 stocks approximately in it, is only 5% of the market cap. These are the small cap stocks. Well, I don't want to look for the small cap stocks here, but I wanted to expand beyond that S&P 500. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for that Russell 1000 there. So if you want to expand it out, you can do it that way. Now, if you want to, so let me go here to public. There's a Russell 1000, and I'm going to rerun this and see if we get more results. I think we will. We should. You'd think. We're going to let this run here for a sec. And there we go. And we've got 21 results on this one. Okay? 21 results. Now, there's other ways I could narrow it down, but let me just kind of continue on this for just one more sec here. On this, I'm not limited to these publicly created watch lists. If you want to search your own watch list that you've created, your personal watch list, I just have some examples here. I could click on those and just scan in that watch list, by the way. Okay, but right now I'm going to use this Russell 1000. Now, what are some other common parameters I may use? I may use things like volume filters. I could do that. I could say, hey, what about stocks that don't have earnings coming up? I don't want to deal with earnings over the next month, say. Well, can we do that? Yeah, we can do that. Let's add a parameter for no earnings over the next month. So I'm going to click on add filter. I'm going to add another filter on here. This is a study filter I'm going to click on again. And in this case, I'm going to go down, and it's kind of a prefabbed one, corporate actions, earnings, and we're going to say earnings, you just read it, okay? Earnings has an announcement anytime in the next, well, I don't want an earnings announcement. I'm going to say it does not have an announcement anytime, and I'm going to say the next 21 bars. How do I come up with 21 bars? 21 is kind of the average number of trading days in a month here. So that's why I have 21. And I can scan this and we'll see how many. We had 21 results. We're just past earnings season right now, or we're kind of on the tail end of earnings season right now. And we don't have the next one coming up quite yet. So it didn't really limit it much. But if you use this scan in the future, this may make a very big difference in the results that come up. Okay, if we're in the midst of earnings season, it will likely cut out a lot of stocks. Right today, not so much. Okay, Kelly said, hey, the weeklies are a good one to scan for too. Very often we do that. We'll go here and we'll go to public and there's weeklies right there. That just means options that have weekly expiration dates on that. That's a common one too. So I'll let you play with that, but I just wanted to kind of introduce you to the Russell 1000 because I think it's a valuable one. If you want to expand a little bit beyond the Russell, but beyond the S&P 500, but not like to everything, right? Because everything could be too much there. So there's our scan. Now, let's do one more thing here, okay? What I'm going to say is this. Here's this, and I'm going to add on a lot of times, in addition to moving averages, what traders will use is they'll say, hey, these are kind of giving me the general trend, but I'm also interested in something with maybe some upward momentum. Can we add in a momentum indicator on there? Let me give you an example. Let me throw in an RSI. This is a very common one, which is why I'm picking it, but you can do the same thing with other indicators here. And I can pull up that RSI and I can say, well, look, if the RSI is sloping upward, I'm going to consider that upward momentum. And if a stock has just recently crossed above our moving averages, there's a pretty good chance it has upward momentum. So it may not do both. To the question for S, does the Russell 1000, does it include S&P 500 stock? Yes, it does. The S&P 500 would be included in that Russell 1000 there. So RSI sloping up. How can we do that? Well, let's go back to our scan. Let's add one more factor in this scan, and then we'll run it and then look at a potential trade off of this scan. So how do I get the RSI going higher, indicating positive momentum? Well, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to add a filter. I'm going to add a study filter, okay? And you can look through, and there's an RSI filter, but it's not one. This is just basically where the RSI is. If I click on RSI scan, it's just saying, is it greater than 70 or below 30 or whatever you want to do on that. But that's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is I want it to be sloping upward. So I'm going to add filter. I'm going to make it a study filter. I'm going to go to custom, bring this window over so you can see it. I don't want that ADX. I'm going to click on add condition. And I'm going to say, I want that Russell, the RSI to be going higher. Well, how do you define something going higher? Well, there's not really a going higher, but there is we could say, is the RSI higher than it was, say, yesterday? That would be going higher. So let's do that. So is this a price? No, this is the RSI we're looking at. It's a study. So I'm going to click on study. I'm going to click on RSI. And what I'm going to say is, I'm just going to take this RSI and I want it to be greater than it was yesterday. So I'm going to say RSI is greater than what? Well, I want the RSI. It's greater than the RSI was yesterday. Well, how do I do the yesterday? You do that yesterday by just doing an offset. I'm going to go offset 1 day there. And now, here's your RSI. Standard length of what we typically use on RSI is 14. You can change that if you want. You can tweak these if you want. And notice the difference here on this. This offset is saying, looking at yesterday's value. That is different than on the other one where we said within 3 bars. We're not looking back to see that the RSI was sloping up within the last 3 bars. I want the RSI to currently be sloping up. So I'm not touching this one down here. I'm using this one, this offset. I'm going to save this. I'm going to click on OK. We now have a completed scan here. Let's see how many it cuts out. We were on 18. I'm on now. I got 12. Okay. That's a reasonable number of stocks to look through. You can go through those. And now, before I forget, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share this scan with you. And then you can tweak it if you want. So let me go and let me click share. I'm going to put it in the chat, number one, and just remember, scans are not guaranteed for accuracy or timing. I put that in the chat for those of you who are watching live. And for those of you who are watching on a recording, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the scan right here. If you're watching on a recording, I'm going to read these letters to you, but just realize they are case sensitive. I think you could probably see them well enough that you can do the case though. Exclamation point, YXMSYQXW. Remember, these are case sensitive. So when you take that and you want to copy it in, you go up to the gear, you go to open shared items, you copy and paste it in there or type it in there. Then you click on preview, name it to whatever, you can say 3 moving average scan or whatever. And then you can import it. Okay. So I'm hoping that is helpful for you on that, for those of you who are interested in that. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Let me just copy that. And for future use, Mike is actually going to follow up on this next week because we're going to do a trade on this. That's the goal. And he's going to follow up on this next week. I talked to Mike about this as he was leaving here. But let's go back here. And if you are watching on a recording and you need some more time here, just pause the recording and you can read that right now. Okay. So here we have stocks. And thank you for the reminder. Wiley said scan will not work in paper money. So just remember that here. But you can see a bunch of companies, and you're familiar with probably some of these companies and some not. Cisco is one you're probably familiar with. You've probably heard of Cisco before. That, by the way, is an S&P 500 stock as well. So that shows the crossover between those. Some of these are not, though. HEICO is not an S&P, I think I'm saying that right, is not an S&P 500 stock there. Let's go, though, and just take a look, okay? So let's look at Cisco here for a sec. And what was our scan? Our scan was that we don't have earnings in the next month, essentially. Well, we just had earnings on Cisco. That's not an issue, okay? This scan is for stocks that have crossed above their 10-day, their 30-day, and their 50-day moving average in the last 3 days. Right there, okay? Just it. You can see that. I have those on the graph there. It's also for stocks that have upward momentum. Right there on that. You see that? So that is how we can just kind of verify those conditions there on that. So let's go here. Here's Elf Beauty. This is kind of a popular one that it's not an S&P. I'm not sure if it's an S&P 500 stock or not, but it's a bigger company and it's a cosmetics type company. And here we go. Or does it meet the conditions? Yeah, we're above the 10, 30, 50-day moving average. You can even kind of do this and say, well, look, looks like we're kind of breaking out above this level. So you can add in your own technical analysis. This is a kind of a breakout, upper momentum going forward, breakout, break above our moving averages, okay? How high? Well, you could kind of come up with a target price if you want. Maybe we'll go to highs past there. Or you could also say, look, what I'm going to do is in terms of target price, I'm going to go from low to where our high was. I'm going to duplicate this, and we're going to put this from low to high, and that's going to put us right about the same area, right around 140, we'll say 142, okay? So that's going to be our target price, 142. Now, you don't have to put a target price if you don't have to put a target price, and you don't have to put a stop, but we're going to put a stop in as well. Let me just zoom in just a little bit here on this, and I'm going to put a stop in below our breakout point. I'm going to go a couple percent below our breakout point. Our breakout point was about 124. I'm going to take 124 and multiply by 0.98. That is 2% below our breakout point. I come up with 121.50. Do you see how I got that? I took our breakout point, which was an old resistance. We just broke through that. Old resistance now once you break through it, can represent new support. So I'm going to put my stop not right on the support level. I'm going to give it a little wiggle room there. I put it 2% below there. So my stop is going to be right about here, right down in this area, close to almost where that 10-day moving average is. That's going to be where our stop is in case the thing reverses on us. Now, 98% isn't set in stone. I will often use 97%, or on a tighter trade, a shorter term trade, I'll maybe use 1% below that. I use 2% in this case, okay? So that's how I came up with that. Now, let's say we want to do a trade on this. Now, this is certainly, I'll let you in your own time scroll through and some of these other scan results there and see, maybe you find one you like more. I'm not going to take the time to go through all of these. But one of the nice things is, once you save the scan, and I don't know, I may have to resave that. I don't know that what you save. So here's how you save a scan. Let me just to be sure, just to be clear, I may resave that, reshare that scan. Let me go to this 3-line menu. I'm going to go to Save Scan Query. Once you create the scan query, you can do this right here. And I'm going to just call it, you can call it whatever you want, above 10, 30, 50, SMA. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Now that scan is saved, I'm actually going to, I don't have high confidence that I shared the right scan before on that. So I'm going to just redo that just in case I mess that other one up. And if the other one works, great, go with it. Okay, now, and let me put that in here. I'll put it also in the, over here, just in case. There we go. It's exclamation point JUQDHVHA. That is all, it is case sensitive. So you got to capitalize the J, the Q, the D, the V, okay? Now, here's the beauty on this. Once you've saved it, it now is going to reside as a watch list. So if you have a watch list, you can change it. You can go to your personal watch list. And I think I titled it above 10, 30, 50 moving average, okay? So I just clicked on that, and there's those results. So if you want to go through those stocks really quickly, if your watch list is linked to your chart, you can just scroll down right here, hit your arrow key, whatever, go down and look through those quickly and see if you like the results of those. That one just barely broke above all 3 of those. Okay, so that's how that scan works. You can go through those. Now, As for our chart here, which we were using on ELF, if I want to place the trade, you can place it by going to the trade tab. You can also just right click on the chart. I can right click, buy custom with an OCO bracket. What's an OCO bracket? Here's what an OCO bracket is. An OCO bracket is you're going to buy the stock, and then you're going to have an order to sell at a limit price. That's your target price. And you're going to have an order to sell if it goes down on you, and that's going to be a stop price. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get out at that price, but it's a common measure of protection that people use. I'm going to make those orders good till canceled. What's the whole OCO thing? The OCO thing is this. If it goes up and hits my target price and sells out of my stock, I don't want that stop price lingering around saying, I want to sell 100 more shares of stock or whatever the quantity is you choose. In this case, it's 100, after I already sold out my first 100. So when the limit fills, the limit sell fills, it's going to cancel the stop. Or if the stop sells out first, it's going to cancel the limit. That's what the OCO is. Okay. So I've got that. Now I've got to put in my prices here. I wrote them down earlier. My prices were for my target price, it was 142. That was my target price. For my stop price, again, it's not guaranteed, it was 121.50. 121.50. I can confirm and send. I can then look at this, and you got to make sure this is appropriate. Okay? You got to make sure this is appropriate for your risk management, your position size. 100 shares is going to cost about almost $13,000. Is that too much for you? It may be. Even if I get stopped out even if I just consider my risk, of course that stop isn't guaranteed. So this could gap down. Watch your risk, position size to what is appropriate for you there. Okay. Okay. Yes. Question in the chat that Scott already actually answered, but it's a good question, and I think others may have that question. So let me address that. I'm just going to put that in a long stock portfolio, and I'm going to send that chart. Send that. Okay. Now, here's the question. The question is, look, I get the moving average breakouts, is what we're doing. I get the RSI sloping up, but it's not coming up on my chart when I run the scan. And so, yeah, for those of you who aren't, watching the chat here, that was a question. The answer is, yeah, you got to put these on separately on your chart here. Okay. So when you come up and you decide, maybe you modify the scan, and maybe you don't want to use a 10-day and a 30-day and a 50-day. You want to use something else. You can go longer term. You're going to get very different results probably if you use a different time frames on those charts. Use the ones that you want. Modify that scan, save it, and then you can view it on your own chart there. All right. So that is what we have here. Okay. Now, if any questions here? Wiley's reminded us that Monday's Labor Day, folks. We don't have any classes Monday. If you like our webcasts, the way to not miss them is to go to Trader Talks, the Trader Talks channel on YouTube. Okay. And so make sure you check and you're subscribed out there. Okay. Let's go and just take a look. Do I have two? Let me just go and fill this order here. Let's look at our working orders. Okay. Here's my order. Did I? Somehow Let me just look at this order here. 121.50. I may have put my price in wrong here. 129.55. Somehow I got that price in wrong. So thank you very much. That should be 121.50 on that price. So let's send that. And then what we're going to do is I'll just see. Now that should look better, hopefully. There's my stop. 121.50 is below the current price. And my current price is there. Let's just see. 111. Yeah, somehow I messed up that order. I'm going to redo that order, folks, real quick. So I'm just going to go. If you ever want to get rid of an order, you can just go to working orders and cancel the order out that way. We've just canceled that. And I'm just going to redo that order real quickly here. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to buy custom with OCO bracket. I'll be more careful on this. This one I'm just going to make a market order because I just want to get in this. Good till canceled. Good till canceled. My limit price should have been 142. 142. My stop price should be 121.50. Confirm and send. Let's just double check that. That looks right. That looks right. There's my buy order there. Okay. So I'm not sure what I did there, but we fixed it. So thank you for the heads up on that. We're going to put that in the long stock category. We're going to send that order. That should fill right away, which it did. Let me just zoom in so you can see it right here. Our stock is right here, right now, right there. The target price is right up here. The stop price is right down there. Okay, so that looks right now. So thank you very much, folks. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to Trader Talks. Thanks, Scott, for helping me out in the chat, everybody. Coming up next, we have After the Close. And so you can get a good wrap up in the market here and look at placing trades for even when the market is not open. You can do that. You know that? So check that out. Thank you all for joining me. And I'm going to send this trade off to Mike, and he's going to follow up on this next week for you. So, okay, everybody, have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.